I'm afraid that Don will point out the time. I would like to point out that it is 7 o'clock on the nose. Take your time, Jim. No rush.
We don't
Call
have
the-
liability insurance.
We'll call the Village Beach Park Board meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Gus.
Here.
Trustee Jensen.
Right here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Addison.
Here.
Trustee Siddick is absent. Trustee Wells.
Here.
Attorney Ferolo.
Here.
Mayor Hooker.
Here.
Special
Clerk
guest
McDonald.
appearance by Jim.
And now that Jim has sat down,
On the mend.
I'll ask everyone to stand for the pledge.
Oh, you should get special guest.
This is part of that therapy thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're mean like she is.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You didn't even notice I have a flag. See how I changed it? You don't stick up in the ceiling, remember?
Oh,
Oh,
Somebody could leak.
well, I may not be a physical therapist, but
You know what it takes.
I can create the pain. All right, first up, we have public comment on agenda items. As I'm listening for crickets. Okay, we'll move on then to consent agenda, which includes the following three items. Approval of the Committee of the Whole minutes from October 27th. Approval of the Village Board regular meeting minutes, October 22nd, or 27th. And bills presented for payment in the amount of $213,776.98. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
second.
Motion by Trustee Gus, second by Trustee Miller. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Abstain.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Motion carries. Moving on to the mayor's report, I don't have a whole lot to discuss other than I would like to send my appreciation for the lovely weather that we've been having, and that's kept me working outside, which is probably going to come to an end really
Screeching
soon. I think we've had our Indian summer, and then
Native American song.
in,
I recently did
Indigenous
sensitivity
people
training.
summer. It's the second summer, third summer, fourth summer, whatever. Okay. We will move into committee reports. First up, Finance Committee, Trustee Jensen.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next committee meeting is the 15th at 6 p.m. and we will discuss the warrant list that we've just approved, among other things. I do have one agenda item, and I'd like to offer for consideration a resolution authorizing agreement with Baxter and Woodman Consulting Engineers for a water and sewer rate study for not to exceed amount of $29,730 even. And this is something that we've been pondering for a long time. Is our water and sewer rates adequate, not just for the immediate needs? We know they are for that because we are in the black in those accounts, but there are long-term capital needs that surely will come. And so part of this study is to identify what those long-term needs are likely to be, how we should fund those, how we should set, how much the rate should be to adequately fund those future needs. So that's a motion, that's the explanation. If you want more information, our Public Works Director would be happy to elaborate.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Well, I heard Trustee Miller first, so
Go for it.
Ooh.
yes. We'll give you credit for that one. We could get buttons. We could be like Family Feud,
Yeah, but
where
she's closer to you than I am. So.
everybody. Well, that could be. Your voice would take a millisecond longer to get to me. All right. Any discussion on the motion?
Oh, yes, I'll discuss. If you'll notice the cover memo, there were three, and this is professional services, so it's not a low bid process. There were three proposals. Staff preferred the Baxter and Woodman offering, which is $12,000 almost more than the lowest priced proposal. However, it appeared to better suit our needs. So,
Yep.
Public Works Committee or Finance Committee went along with that recommendation, and that's why we're seeing this tonight.
Well, I think we kind of also discussed that it's healthy to have different eyes looking at same thing,
Yep.
Occasionally. Can't hurt.
And there's always that expert from out of town qualifier for making people perk up and pay attention.
There's that, yes.
Very good. All right. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to Parks and Recreation. Trustee Gus, what have you got?
No report tonight, Your Honor.
All right. I was asked recently if there's any senior events planned coming in the near future or distant future, like the Christmas party or the St.
We are in the
Patrick's.
process of discussing that one and something for St. Patty's Day
Sweet.
so far.
Good. All right. Thank you. Planning, Building, Zoning Committee, Trustee Wells.
No report, Your Honor.
All right. Public Relations and Intergovernmental Committee, Trustee Miller.
Thank you. I would just like to express appreciation to our staff for the preparation of the 2022 PAFR. Anybody that hasn't picked one up should do so. PAFR stands for Popular Annual Financial Report. And as has been said in the past, this is like a bird's eye view of where the money comes from, where the money goes. And, we have a staff that does an excellent job of monitoring our spending and keeping everything in check. So without them and without oversight from our board, I think we work pretty well together on this. We know we need to. We wouldn't be in the position we're in financially. We're very solid and proud of it.
Yep.
So thank you, staff, for all your
Definitely.
hard work on this. Well done.
And in school, we used to call those clip notes. Those
Yeah.
that didn't want to pour over the 300-page
Right.
text.
Cliff
You could
notes.
look at the clip notes and get the gist of it, and that's exactly what those are.
What it is.
There's a lot of good information.
Yeah.
So,
That's it. That's
All
all
right.
I have tonight.
thank you. Trustee Siddick is not here. Public Works Committee, Trustee Otterson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing on the agenda tonight, but I would like to assure you that the Public Works Department is ready for any weather phenomenon that will possibly happen in the future, near or otherwise. I didn't say the word this time. I got scolded.
Thank you.
It's,
Appreciate that.
There's plenty of seasoning in the dome for melting
Process.
melting said weather phenomena. So they're ready to go.
Very good. All right. Okay, nothing to report from the TIF committee, as it has not met. We'll move on to staff reports. Looks like we got a couple items.
I am taking the first one, Your Mayor, Your Honor. The first thing on the agenda under staff reports is a resolution to include payments related to health insurance as IMRF fund earnings. And basically, we recently had an IMRF auditor not come out, but just contact us and collect a lot of information. And while we had approved this stipend for those who opt out of health insurance back in 2015, they recommended that we actually have the board approve the resolution and put it on file with IMRF to just validate that it was an IMRF earning. And that was the intention. I thought we had filed the resolution, but we couldn't find record of it. So that's why we have this before you tonight.
All right. Do we have a motion to
So moved.
approve said resolution? That would be Trustee Best.
Second.
Second by Trustee Jensen. All right. Any discussion?
So this will effectively increase not significantly, but effectively increase the income for retirement calculations for our employees.
Yes, in effect, it's we've been adding it as earnings since 2015. So it's $2,000 a year for those that are not on the village insurance. So it's
Thank you.
a small amount, but it's
Yep.
still considered IMRF earnings.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I encourage you all to keep paying into IMRF.
I'll go along with
Says
it.
the retired
For
guy.
some of us who are collecting the other end of the pension program. So, thank you.
All right. Okay, ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And now our administrator is up next.
All right.
Yeah, the next item, we just need approval from the village board to issue a raffle permit for Our Lady of Humility. This is one of their 2 annual raffles. And this is not the big raffle. It's just, raffle off prizes, just as a fundraiser.
Okay.
So all the details are in the cover memo, but we do need board approval to issue that license.
All right.
I'll make that
Motion to
motion.
approve is,
I will second it.
Motion by trustee Miller, second by trustee Gus to approve the Our Lady of Humility fundraiser raffle license. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Wells. Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries. Anything else from staff? Okay.
nothing additional. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no old business on the agenda. We do have one new business item, which is bills presented for payment in the amount of $2,544.32 from HMG Engineers. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Gus, second by Miller. Discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Abstain.
All right, motion carries. That brings us to citizens wishing to address the board, and I see we have some tonight. Please come forward to the podium, let us know your name and state your case.
Good evening, board. My name is Alan Hutchison, for those that don't know me. I was here a little while ago, a couple years ago, so some familiar faces still here. I'm at 12762 West Beach. I'm on Beach Road, west Green Bay Road. And I stopped by earlier today and talked to Mr. Huber about something that I had found out was going on across the street from me. A little bit of backstory, just quickly. I moved into that property in 2012, and ever since 2012, we've had a very uphill fight with traffic, pertaining to the Waukegan Sports Park. I'm not sure how many of you were around, but from what my understanding is about 10 years ago, there was an agreement made between Beach Park and Waukegan that Beach Park would allow Waukegan to pave that road and use it as a temporary access to that facility. And then when Green Bay Road got finished, they would put their own entrance in on Green Bay Road and essentially move on from there. Unfortunately, that was 10 years ago, and now we are still suffering from Waukegan. Waukegan they don't control the traffic very well. They plan tournaments there with 300 teams. I've seen tournaments with 300 teams registered, thousands of people, thousands of cars. It's created nuisance situations where I've been unable to leave my driveway 20, 30 minutes. Can't get out of my driveway, can't get out of my neighborhood, let alone if we ever had to have emergency services in there, it'd be near impossible. We've addressed the Waukegan Park Board about it. We've addressed the Waukegan Police about it. The Sheriff's Department has been called out to my property and all the other properties in the road multiple times to try and address the issue. So there's your backstory. We're still struggling with this. A little over a couple weeks ago, I noticed that they were out running a survey on that property. So I did a little digging, and I found out that the Waukegan Park District is now in the process of putting together a development for a multi-million-dollar, multi-story Topgolf style complex in the eastern half of that park. Is that something that you guys had heard anything about previous to me bringing it up?
No.
Nobody? I was surprised too. Upon finding this out, digging through the meeting minutes and confronting the surveyor, I figured out who I needed to talk to on the Park District side. And I called back and asked them to please send me a copy of the preliminary plan, was submitted to them so that I could talk to the neighbors and we could have a conversation about it. But this is something that you guys need to be aware of too. For many years, we have suffered over there. It's been horrible. I've had people use my driveway to turn around, drive through my yard. I had a guy smash out a window, throw glass in our yard from the sports park. Not to mention all the times I've been sworn at. Many not good experiences. And now the Park District wants to add a facility that will add, according to their plan, 350 more parking spaces, and will also continue to at least partially utilize Beach Road as their entrance and exit. I can't let this happen.
Have you received the plan yet?
I did. Today, just this afternoon, I had a conversation with Mr. Huber about it, and I sent it over an email. Did you receive it?
I did see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no fault to you. I was late when I sent it over, but I'm sure you guys will get a copy of it to take a look. But it's a pretty in-depth plan. This is more than just a sketch on a napkin where they say I want to do something. It's basically takes over the entire eastern half of that facility and has a giant parking lot that hooks around on the northeast corner, and then continues to use the road that they have in there. That pokes out kind of before the creek over there. But this could be an opportunity to fix the problem that we had before, which is the temporary access that Waukegan has granted to that park. Since they're going to pursue doing this, I'm sure, and I don't think that there's anything that we could really do about trying to stop a development like that, nor do I think I want to. I think that that's great that they can utilize the park for something nice and be profitable. But this could be our opportunity to finally hold them accountable to what their word was 10 years ago and pressure them to put that road in to service the backside of that facility as well, so that we can have our serenity back over there. We can have our peace of mind back on our road. And that's really what I'm here about tonight. I want to make sure that you guys are aware of what's going on. And I hope to, I've looked on the website, and I know we haven't had any safety committee meetings that I've been aware of in recent history. Who is the safety committee chair? Is that
Trustee Siddick.
Siddick? Okay.
Public safety, yeah.
I would request that we have another safety committee meeting to discuss some of the things that are going on over there. I've individually talked to each of the neighbors along Beach Road and down Bayonne, and I can pretty much speak on behalf of them when I say that they're not happy that they're talking about increasing the traffic on that road by what is essentially 50%.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for you guys to stand tall for us this time. I'm looking for you guys because it essentially will be part of your decision too, since this affects a road that is a Beach Park road and Beach Park residents. But I need you guys to stand tall with us this time and help us get this rectified, because we can't do another 10 years of this. This is crazy. And if they do manage to get another road in there, it's just going to make the quality of life drop off over there. Property values are going to drop over there. All things that you guys don't want to see.
Mr. Hutchinson,
Yes.
does the plan show any kind of access off of Green Bay into this new complex?
There is access off of Green Bay, and I assume that will be the primary access. But what the plan also shows is no updating of the current access where they're using the 13 soccer fields, including the soccer stadium, and 4 baseball fields in the back of the park. So that entrance is still shown on that plan as being off of the corner of what is Beach and Bayonne,
Okay.
which is where it's been since it was temporary access was allowed, 11 years ago, whatever it was.
And you said something about Waukegan promised 10 years ago. Can you go over that once again? What
Yeah,
your
it was,
impression of that was?
So many village administrators ago, I talked to, it was John Kinzeth, and even before him, it was impressed upon me that there was an agreement made between Waukegan and Beach Park where Waukegan would improve that road, and they would be able to use that road as a temporary access to the facility while Green Bay Road was being developed. Because any facility like that, obviously Green Bay Road is a state highway, so anything that gets done to Green Bay Road means I got approval. There's a lot of tape and permits, and I understand that. And it's easier for them to go in the back way. But moving forward with a development like this, they're going to be forced to address that problem. They're going to need a decel lane. They're probably going to need a stoplight to be able to handle all that. And the other hurdle that they will cite is the inability to cross the creek that is over there. But we already know that, without getting too much into the specifics of it, their estimate of what it would cost to put a bridge in was many times more than my research has shown that a bridge like that would cost. And that's something that I've run through neighboring communities and basically to try and estimate what a structure like that would cost. So really, at the end of the day, we can't stop the development from going in, but we can make our lives a lot better by moving the traffic. And it won't take that much to do it. Once you see the plan, you'll see. The road that goes from the upper parking lot that borders Green Bay Road all the way down to where the turnaround area is and the gate just east of the creek has already been poured with heavy aggregate, and they already drive tour buses up and down it. So I know that it's a solid road. It's something that they could easily drive the traffic in and out. What they would need to do is extend that road another, I don't know, 150, 200 feet to the creek. They'd have to put a bridge in and then cross the creek and pick up the existing road where it's at. And at that point, the neighbors would be ecstatic. This would finally allow us to be able to walk on the street again. Let our kids ride their bikes back and forth on the street again. Be able to utilize the property without worrying about getting hit by a car trying to take our trash out. So there are a lot of other issues too, and that's stuff I'd like to put in the committee and be able to talk about inside the safety committee. But this is the big one. This is the one where we can finally make some ground.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I appreciate you bringing it to our attention and sharing the plans that you've received. It's always disappointing when something significant like that. It's kind of like finding out something happened on Facebook. It's like, here you are, you're on the village board. You've got people that are answering phones all day long, emails, direct communications with key figures that are in any kind of a development like this. The city of Waukegan would be involved in it, as would be the park district.
Sure.
And to have a citizen bring it to our attention, and clearly it hasn't been publicized. The only reason you were aware of it is you saw something happening, and
many
That's-
phone calls, a dozen phone calls to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, but in the park district's defense, I will tell you that it is very early in the process.
yeah,
But very early in the process is when you can make conceptual changes.
Oh, yeah,
and that's what we're
absolutely.
looking for.
absolutely.
So I will tell you right now that I had a conversation with the guy who is now in charge of the Waukegan Park District. His name is Jay Lerner, and he and I are trying to foster a constructive relationship.
Yeah.
So that we can kind of and I'm really trying to go after it with more of a honey rather than vinegar
Yeah.
approach.
Yep.
So that we can work together, and that's been reciprocated so far.
Good.
So I'm happy to hear that. But again, essentially, this is going to come back to you guys because this road is your road.
Yeah.
You will have the say over what happens on that
Right.
road inevitably. And
Right.
so this is why I come to
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you guys.
thank you.
All right.
Good evening. My name is Josh Hecker, Hecker. I live at 38580 North Bayonne Avenue. So I live just west and a little bit north of where Mr. Hutchinson lives. I built my house. I do live in Wadsworth, Illinois. I built my house approximately 7 years ago. When I bought my lot 10 years ago, there was a golf course right next door, which I thoroughly was excited about to go and enjoy golfing. Within months of us purchasing our land, we found out that Waukegan was selling to build a sports complex. We have no lights in our neighborhood. It's very, very nice and quiet on most days. When the sports complex is open, we can't even open up our bedroom windows. They hold softball and soccer until midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, which is against local ordinances. And we've called the Lake County Sheriff's Department and Waukegan Police Department on numerous occasions. And as a police officer myself, we have much better things to do than respond to a noise complaint at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning for people playing softball or soccer. The response that we get from dispatch and the sheriff's deputies that respond is they have access and they're finishing up their games and they're allowed to do so, which I have found that is in direct violation of the ordinances. Mr. Hutchinson alluded a little bit to the tournaments. When we first moved in, people were parking in front of my home and all the way down Bayonne because they didn't want to pay the $5 to get into the sports complex. We had to erect signs that says no parking on this side of the road.
Right.
Now, when I have people at my house, I can't have my visitors park on the road. In fact, we did that the other day and the Lake County Sheriff's Department showed up and they threatened to issue us citations for parking illegally on the roadway. And I tried to explain that the only reason that those signs were erected was to prevent the people from parking from the sports complex all day and walking in. We also get coach buses that come down Bayonne and try to turn around at Hart and Bayonne, and they can't. So they're blocking our traffic. They're blocking our right of ways. It is a nightmare. My wife and I go walking down Beach Road, and we literally bring a garbage bag or two, and we pick up the debris that is of beer cans and glass and everything else that comes with living next to a large sports complex. Beach Road, if you guys ever want to stop out at 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, is a drag strip. And you can literally hear the cars driving 50 to 60 miles an hour, starting from the entrance, driving east on Beach Road until they get to Green Bay Road. There's no traffic enforcement out there. The only time I see sheriff's deputies or Lake County or Waukegan PD is if we call and there's a problem. And they respond. But by that time, the cars are long gone. It literally is a drag strip. There's burnout marks up and down that road. There's garbage up and down that road. They promised us that they would clean up every day. That stopped. We're the ones that clean up. And while this new idea and this new plan is going to only impact a dozen or so families in your community, it's a major impact. It's not something that we signed up for. We shouldn't have to put up with it. They have the ability to build a road that accesses their property for sole in and out exit and entrance that doesn't have to impact your community residents. So as Mr. Hutchinson alluded, we're asking for your help. We were here 7-8 years ago begging for the same thing. We've lived this day in and day out. And it starts in late March, early April, and goes all the way through November, sometimes into December. So we're dealing with this almost all year long. The only time that we actually have peace is when it's not open.
When you don't want to be outside.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I tried finding, when Mr. Hutchinson called me today, I tried researching some stuff online to see if I could find any meeting notes or anything regarding this Topgolf facility. You can't easily find it. And that's not okay. And the fact that they're not notifying a neighboring jurisdiction that this is what's going on, it's going to impact the Lake County Sheriff's Department immensely when you have alcohol involved, you have much more traffic. You're going to be pulling people from Kenosha and everywhere else, because the nearest Topgolf facilities are Schaumburg and north of Milwaukee in Deerfield. That's it.
Yep.
We've joked in Kenosha that a bunch of us cops should build a Topgolf where the old dog track is, but I just don't have the funding. So if you guys want to fund me a couple $10 million, I'll be happy to build it away from Waukegan.
Have they given up on the casino yet?
They have not. In fact, they just bought a bunch of land just west of the interstate over by Uline that supposedly they're building a casino there. So I appreciate your time.
Well,
I
appreciate
appreciate
you
your
coming.
ears.
And we have talked before, and I feel your pain. The steps that have been taken in your neighborhood, specifically your neighborhood, to try to alleviate some of the cutting through to Wadsworth Road, the famous one-way, one-block street. I don't know how often. I mean, I don't even drive down it that way, and I feel like, well, it's not like it's hurting anything, but it's like, well, there it is, and somebody wanted it, and so it's ridiculous to have to do all of that, and that entrance is inviting all of the things we've heard tonight, where that entrance is, and the amount of traffic, the hours, the volume of people, and it's great that they've built a facility that's being utilized like that, but you're right. Why has it got to impact the neighborhood? And if we could go back and know, in hindsight, it was a little before my time as mayor, probably maybe closer to 12 years ago that the agreements were made, maybe 12, 13, but then, it took time to build it and everything else. So more to come, I'm sure. And we'll start reaching out and finding out what we can learn, and start putting our heads together about maybe solving this problem. I don't know what kind of numbers you've heard on the bridge. We've got a small dead end street. It's actually a street that dead ends both directions into a ravine. It's all graded correctly. All it needs is a bridge, a culvert, a big culvert. And what was the number on that? It was $500,000, $400,000, if I remember right. Yeah.
That's about right, but Waukegan believes that it's going to be $10 million to span a section of 3 feet over a creek.
That's not an exaggeration. I was right from
Yeah, no, yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, unless they're going to do a flyover or something, and
And, you know, and we've enjoyed the park.
yeah,
My wife and I walked. There's a cross country trail in there now.
yep,
It's not that we don't enjoy the park. It's the traffic. It's the people that don't have any
Right.
consideration for the neighborhood
Yep.
and could care less.
right,
They're the burnouts and they painted 25 miles an hour on the roadway. Nobody cares.
right,
They were supposed to put a median in at the exit that would divert traffic
right,
eastbound. Waukegan never did that. They lied to us. They said, we are going to do this so there's no traffic going into that neighborhood. They didn't do it.
right,
And it would have been simple enough.
yep,
But they don't care. And then when they have these major events, literally traffic backs up from the entrance all the way to Green Bay Road and sometimes stalls out on Green Bay Road, which is a traffic hazard.
absolutely.
And they don't care
And they
because
and
they're making $900,000 a year
yeah,
in charging people to park there. And that's not an exaggeration.
and they've got plenty of
$900,000 in parking.
they've got plenty of room internal to the site to stack traffic.
They absolutely do.
I mean, if this was Six Flags, or if this was, well, maybe that's a poor example, is they line up out on the interstate on the tollway. But if this was a major entertainment venue placed in any other area, it would have all of the above. And it came to us as a simple little soccer park, I'm sure. I wasn't involved in the negotiations that took place, but I do remember it coming before the board, and you know, it's a soccer park. You know, who would have imagined what it's become? And to add on to that now, or to propose adding on to it, my brother used to live right next to Alan's house, so I'm very familiar with the neighborhood, and have had numerous friends that have lived up and down the street there, and it was always dead. I mean, there was nothing there. It was silent, and there was a golf course.
It's
Once
wonderful when it is.
in a while, the golf balls would come bouncing down the road, but you know, that's what it was. So, yeah, well,
I actually found your golf ball in my woods today.
yeah,
I didn't live anywhere. I don't live that close to the
And
golf course.
that was one of my favorite golf courses because you could miss by like 3 fairways and it was still in play. You know, it really didn't matter where. I mean, people be driving their carts or walking across in front of you. We're like, "Where's he going?" Oh, his ball's over there.
Well, Mr. Mayor, their original plans were to build a 2,500 capacity
Yeah.
soccer field that Robert Morristown in the city would utilize as their home
Yeah.
soccer field, which made no sense. But they've scrapped that, and now we're adding a multi-story golf complex.
So-
which I'm a golfer. I'm not.
Yep.
I'm quite fine with not having to drive all the way to Schaumburg for that.
Right.
But just help us with the traffic.
But yeah, I mean, a 2,500 seat stadium would be brief periods of intense traffic. This is going to be continuous.
Constant.
This is, I mean,
And they're already violating the local ordinances with noise and lighting.
yep.
Every day.
Well-
They don't care. So what's going to happen when Topgolf is open until midnight,
Yeah.
playing music and having the bright lights? I don't know if anybody's ever driven
Yeah.
by a Topgolf next to an interstate, but it's blinding.
Yep.
And now we're going to have to deal with that in
Yeah.
our homes.
All right. Well,
I appreciate
thank you
your
for
time.
coming and appreciate your
Thank
input.
One more thing that'll help you understand what
Yeah.
Earlier this year, Public Works was kind enough to put some board on the road and have a couple weeks before and not have some practice.
Yep. Yep. Thank you. Yep. All right. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Well, we have no cause tonight for an executive session.
Mayor, I would be pleased to offer a motion to adjourn.
We do have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
So moved.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
We are adjourned. Thank you.